I was in kind of a creative drought this week, so I was poking through my computer and found some old footage long since deleted from YouTube. This is from my original channel, so I'm going to de-age myself magically, and hopefully you'll get a laugh out of the much younger Vegematic. Before he was veg, I was actually known as Zlotyz. Don't ask me why. It makes as much sense as Vegematic does. So, have a look at this, see what you think. Leave your comments below. Keep it kind, everybody.
I'd like to ask a question. Are we done yet? Are we done trickling down? 1980, that's when supply-side economics came into being. 31 years of free market bullshit. It's a failure. Globalization is an abject failure. And yet still the propaganda machine drones on about the free market and the invisible hand. The invisible hand is up your butt. When I grew up in the 60s, everybody knew everybody. All the businesses around were owned by parents of kids I went to school with. There was the hardware store, the little grocery store, the ice cream place, all these little stores owned by people that managed to make a living at it. Well, along comes corporate America and Walmart strip mining of small mom and pop businesses. Strip mining. Corporate strip mining. It comes in many forms. Are we going to trickle down? Trickle down, trickle down. How can we have free trade with countries that pay nothing? Brilliant, brilliant economics there. And yet, it's because we're going to all have these important service jobs. What always happens with technology? Is it used to give human beings more leisure time? That could be. If people didn't work so much, there'd be more jobs. And as technology has, increased, the need for manual labor has decreased. So what would be wrong with using that to shorten the work week for the average person? Well, we couldn't do that, could we? No, instead it's just used to downsize, make more people unemployed. What kind of society do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a society where the rich are gated off in some community, which is starting to happen already, and the rest of humanity are left to take their chances on dwindling crumbs that government decides to give out? There's all kinds of reasons for poverty, and yet the main myth is the poor bring it on themselves. Yes, well, I suppose that's a real elitist way of looking at things and not looking at the inherent value in every human being. We're at the core of it spiritual beings and designed to cooperate with each other. And instead, we have a system predicated on competition and competing with each other and eating each other, destroying as we go and not caring about future generations. Yes, isn't capitalism wonderful? So, Milton Friedman, have we trickled down enough? Have the right-wingers got the right idea? And now that taxes are so low for corporations, we should all be living like kings, right? It's like a religion with these people. That's the way I look at it. The whole mantra of lower taxes, and cut services. This whole crap that's been going on for 30 bloody years, bankrupting economies, putting everybody out of work. And what do conservatives always have as the solution? Same as it ever was. More of the same bullshit failed policies that have been an abject failure for 30 years, increasing poverty in every country globalization touches. We're fed up with trickling down. It's time for people to have some money in their pockets, to buy products that they need or desire, to actually have work to be able to pay for the products that are manufactured. Is it just me, or are we approaching something cataclysmic beyond belief? Weather systems are upsetting. different. There's been hundreds and hundreds of tornadoes throughout the US Midwest. There's been radiation leaks. There's been tsunamis, earthquakes. Haven't we woken up to what we're doing to the planet yet? We knew this shit 40 years ago. But the smallest thing that any of us can do can make a huge difference. You know, it's like that story about the guy after a tide had washed out and all these fish flipping around and thousands of them along the beach. And he picks one up and throws it in the water, picks another one up and throws it back in the water. And the guy comes up to him and says, "Oh, you can't possibly hope to make any difference. Why are you throwing them back?" So he looked at this one fish and he said, "Well, it makes all the difference in the world to this one," and threw it back. Anyway, cheesy story, I know, but it illustrates the point I'm trying to make. That somehow we have to realize that we are our brother's keeper and that we have to look after each other, because the power structures that are in place are against us. They are against the average person. They are deliberately making people poor. They are deliberately creating a huge class difference, unlike anything since the 19th century. And this is what they want to do. There's some dude, some politician guy in the States actually wants to repeal the child labor laws. Yeah, that makes sense. And the minimum wage laws too, you know, because that's what's bankrupting the American economy. Not the 3 bloody wars and $1 million missiles that they constantly launch. Not the drones. Good Lord, no. That's not bankrupting the country. Not all the money to the bankers. That's not bankrupting the country. You know, it's the Cowboy Poetry Festival that's doing it. That's the problem. Absurd, disgusting, and laughable. Almost beyond belief how far right the debate is being shifted in the mainstream media. It's disgusting. It's lies. It's propaganda. It's evil. And it permeates our airwaves 24/7. Is it too much to ask for some modicum of social justice? Yeah, it's too much to ask, but goddamn, if there's a war, we'll be there, and there's always money for that. Never money for social programs unless it's used as a tax. Reminds me of our unemployment system here in Canada, where only 30% of the unemployed qualify for it. And there was I think it was, last I heard, 30 billion surplus in it or something that just vanished. Money from employers and employees all paid into it. Vanished. Huge surplus. Could have created how many jobs with that? Billions of dollars? But no, well, you know, I mean, corporations need tax cuts, and we need to fund operations in Afghanistan. We need to build prisons. Even though the crime rate's been dropping and dropping, yeah, we need to build prisons and buy jets. That's what our government makes a priority. Not education. They cut back on the number of teachers. Not healthcare. They cut back on that too. They just keep starving those social programs. And even though none of them are responsible for the deficit that this current government has created, it's all about giving it away to their rich buddies. Sucks, don't it? Yeah, it sucks. Like I was saying, this small Canadian city that I find myself stuck in right now, I refer to as the armpit of Canada. And it's probably not the only one, but there's this bullshit propaganda going around and spread by conservatives that Canada is doing really well economically, that everybody here is rich and happy, thanks to the damned Alberta tar sands. Well, let me tell you, it ain't that way. And I'm planning to document on this channel the depths of poverty that get ignored and constantly overlooked in this small Canadian city, which shall remain nameless, London, Ontario. So, without further ado, here are some former mom and pop type businesses downtown. We'll just take a look at how prosperous this little prosperous Canadian city truly is. It's prosperous for some people, the ones that live out in the suburbs. The rest of the people can go to hell as far as anybody's concerned. We got nothing but payday loan scams and pawn shops everywhere. It's just sad. It's really pathetic. And nobody gives a shit. The rich don't give a shit. They're too busy investing offshore. Cheap labor, slave labor. They don't care. As long as it's cheap, we'll take it. Yes, government is there to provide services, like what used to be our fantastic national health care before the damn conservatives got hold of it. Anyway, I rant. I rant, therefore I am. And I just hope that some people get something out of this. At least food for thought.
I've been mulling over the question in my mind is, when you've given up hope, how can you slog on to the end? When you've given up on your dreams ever coming to match anything like your reality, and you have no ego left, then you dissolve into nothingness. And sort of feeling like I'm dissolving into nothingness. And as each year flies by more quickly than the last one, our journey somehow, we hope, will take us somewhere worthwhile, that we have learned something. So here's to a new year. Here's to a new start for people. That's always so cliche. The thing is that meet the new year, same as the old year. Continuing to dwell on many negative things is not healthy for me. I'm beginning to feel I'm entering into kind of dark depression, and it's been really hard for me to put anything out this particular week. I just don't want the channel to be forgotten and end up in tubular purgatory.